Additive Colors by Cancel of Trash. Additive Colors by Change Lorix Trash on AO3. Summary. Katsuki Bakugo definitely didn't want to bother with this. Didn't want to think about it. Soulmates were bullshit either way. Not like it mattered who are those two idiots whose lines appeared on his arms when they were drawn on their own skin. Do you have an idea, Kachan? Huh? About what? About blue? I have no fucking idea what you're talking about. Because I do, and if I'm right, this is just going to get more complicated soon. Stupid Deku and his stupid crick dip bullshit. Katsuki definitely didn't want to bother with this. Didn't want to think about it. Soulmates were bullshit either way. Not like it mattered who those two idiots whose lines appeared on his arms when they were drawn on their own skin. It was a silly and childish either way. Drawing on your own arm and watching others reply back. That's why he never asked for their names or numbers to switch to more common ways of communication. He didn't need fucking idiot nerds who still drew on their arms with washable markers. Just because he replied to them, it didn't mean jack shit. He was unlucky enough to have two so-called soulmates, or whatever, so those two would just have written his arm full either way. Either he replied or not. He might as well just tell them what ridiculous nerds they were. And their identities. He literally couldn't care less about it. He didn't care. If he would have cared, he would have asked them, or he would have told them his own name. No, this was perfectly content about thinking them as blue and green. That's all they were. Colored lines on his skin that faded after a short time. And he was content to be red. That's all it took. So what if he might have some suspicions about Green's identity? On one hand, it could be a ridiculous coincidence. How stupid it would be if the guy with the greenish hair would end up in green color on Katsuki's arm. Or this guy, out of all peoples. Out of all people, to have that goddamn nerd as his soulmate? It didn't matter. Katsuki was content to be red. Katsuki was content to keep red away from his life he was living. The life of Katsuki Bakugo, the future hero. Red had no place really in that life. Red was scribbling away on his skin, and if Deku was green, it didn't mean jack shit. It seemed like Deku was content to be green too, and kept himself away from his color too, so it didn't fucking matter. Until, of course, Deku had to open his fucking mouth and talk about blue out loud, and Katsuki felt like his walls were starting to crumble. Like the borders he built between Katsuki Bakugo and Red were being demolished, and by the simple fucking act of Deku mentioning blue out loud. Of course, this sent Katsuki to think about blue, which he usually didn't. He didn't wonder at all who could blue possibly be. He knew blue was about their age, and a boy. He knew he'd aspire to be a hero, and wanted to get to UA, but had no idea whether he got in or not. He knew he probably had a shaky home life. His father was a bastard, and Bakugo definitely did not feel his palms heat up when he thought of Blue's father. The way his lines would get shakier when he talked about his father. It was only when they were younger, though. He still spoke the least out of the three of them, and the sentences were always proper and well structured. He probably got a lot better at hiding his emotions. Blue was always very intelligent. Mind you, he probably wasn't more intelligent than Katsuki, but he was smart. It was hard to judge their intelligence over written lines and some drawings. And he was a dog person, which, rude. Cats were obviously superior, and fucks green things for flying things. Fuck green. So, A 15-year-old boy might be at UA, intelligent, keeps his emotions under control, and probably has horrible daddy issues. Oh, and something happened to him when he was 5. Not like Katsuki really cared. But he remembered Blue being missing for a while, and being very tight-lipped about it later. Man, if only he knew someone like that. He still wouldn't have cared. It's just going to get more complicated. That's what Deku had said before he went off to fight Todoroki, and seriously, fuck that noise. Nothing was complicated about this at all. Absolutely nothing. He didn't care if Deku was green. He didn't care if Blue's identity complicated things. His fingers traced invisible lines on his own forearm as he watched the two opponents walk up to the stage. There were absolutely no messages on his skin. Neither of them had written anything that day. Made sense. Green and Blue both expressed excitement about the sports festival, and if they weren't competing, they were probably watching. And Katsuki had other things to focus on. He knew nothing would happen if he didn't use a marker. Simply drawing lines on his own skin with his fingers will not make red lines appear on Blue's and Green's skin. Good thing, because Katsuki didn't have explained why he was tracing the words good luck on his own arm as he watched Deku and Todoroki prepare for their fights. Have you seen the latest match? He was getting ready for his fight with Kirishima in the waiting room, and he couldn't help himself. There was no response for a while. Figures. Deku's fucking hand was probably completely tied up, and he heard rumors about a surgery too. Probably he had no idea a message had arrived on his skin. Either way, it wasn't Green that Katsuki was targeting now. Yeah, I did. What did you think? Katsuki scoffed, chewing at the end of his marker. He didn't think anything. He didn't care. He just wanted to see which one of their asses would he have to kick in the final. I think a lot of things, Blue, and I don't exactly have the fucking time to write it all out and down. I'm not Green to go into huge fucking analysis about every fucking small thing. Which was definitely a Green thing. The annoying little nerd, when they were younger, they would watch the sports festival and Green would write their arms full, analyzing the UA students and their quirks. Makes me think, where is Green? I thought he would have thoughts about this. You do know him, don't you? Katsuki bit the end of his marker, which caused him to sputter the ink up. Green is a bit inconvenienced because he's a fucking moron. I see. I gotta go now. Alright, me too. Talk to you later. Yeah, right. As if Katsuki would be looking forward to you. Yeah, catch you later. Had Midoriya been always like this? Hearing Todoroki ask that question, it made Katsuki's blood boil. What the fuck was he doing? Thinking about a match that was long past. What the fuck was he doing? Overthinking a fucking victory. He won. Time to move the fuck on. And remembering Blue's unsure lines, asking about Green, remembering the conversation between Deku and Todoroki he overheard about the latter family line, and remembering Blue's family line, and what he said, and what he didn't. And Katsuki didn't care. Not a little bit. Not one bit. Deku knew. Deku figured it out. Katsuki was sure of it. Or at least, came to the same conclusion, too. And while there was always a chance one of them would jump to conclusions, but for the two of them to arrive to the same conclusion, as much of a stupid idiot Deku was, he wasn't, like, stupid. Deku knew, and he still went all out, pushing Todoroki to his limits, pushing him into using his flames. And Katsuki will be damned if he'll be satisfied with anything less. Of course, it didn't go that way at all. Almost nothing had gone the way Katsuki had wanted it to during this sports festival. Deku. He was walking home alone when he got stopped, and Katsuki caught up to him, still holding on to his medal, the fucking shit fuck of metal. I don't fucking care, got it? Deku blinked a few times, tilting his head in confusion. And Katsuki felt the intense need to go and kick some wall in frustration. You need to be a little more specific, Kachan. About what you talked about. Before your match with fucking Icy Hot bastard? I don't fucking care. Oh, you mean about Blue... I don't care. Katsuki interrupted him, grabbing his shoulders to yank him closer, their faces almost touching, and Deku yelped. I don't fucking care. I don't care who he is. I don't care who... I just don't. Got it? He didn't actually wait for an answer before dipping Deku back to his feet and leaving him right there. He must have gotten the message, right? Then, of course, within a short time, it all came crashing down when Blue asked about Green's hand, and there was no way to keep this all a secret. They did keep it a secret in a way that didn't tell anyone. They didn't start talking so much more, but there were weird things, like eating lunch together, or waiting for each other in the front of school, walking home together in total silence, because that was not awkward at all. Not like Katsuki actually gave a damn or cared if the other two wanted to keep this shit up. Whatever. But one of these days, he is going to tell them to fuck off and fuck themselves or each other. He doesn't give a fuck. Hey, Deku, if you like to analyze everything out, who do you think, if he would have given it his all, who do you think would have won? Todoroki already split for them that day, as he lived in a different direction, so by that point, there were only the two of them walking. Not like he really wanted to know the answer, but the constant silence was granting on his nerves. Oh, well, it really could have gone either way. That is fucking bullshit cop-out of an answer, and you know it. No, no, I really mean it. Deku flared a little with his arms. I mean, you both have limits, and while he is better at long-range attacks than you without your uniform, you are still very much able to block his ice and avoid his fire. While the ice lowers the temperature, which does not help your quirk, you would be still forced to move a lot, with ice or not, will cause sweating. And while you're not fireproof, you can still dodge the fire, and heat also helps your explosions. You just described what I am better at. True, but he is good with both heavy hits and smaller ones. If he would have gone all out with a huge explosion against you like he did against me, I really don't know which one of you would have been left standing. That's why I say when it could have gone either way. Like, it could have depended on things like, would Cementos and Midnight have been more or less likely to intervene after the mess that happened with my match with Todoroki? What portion would you two have been when the explosion happened? Physics had to be taken into account too, and... Alright, fucking forget it, I asked. Ugh, nerd. Deku chuckled, and did stay quiet. Katsuki had no fucking idea what made Deku look all happy. I still think what you did was bullshit. It took a while for Katsuki to actually catch Todoroki alone. It was hard to do so. He had to make up some bullshit excuse to walk that way so Deku would have to go home alone, but whatever. He could have written on their arms, but Deku saw that too. But apparently, they were trying this whole let's communicate out loud too, yay thing, which fucking fantastic. Todoroki looked at him from the corner of his eyes, not saying a word, so Katsuki continued. Issues or not, you gotta give it your all. Also, focus on your opponent, not on someone shouting from the stands at you. This isn't how it fucking works. Even if you don't want to use your fire because of your bastard old man, whatever, you still should have done something, not give the fuck up. There was still no answer. And Katsuki clenched his fist. Are you fucking listening to me? I'm saying you owe me a good fucking fight. If you had given Deku a good fucking fight, you owe me one too. Yeah, I guess I do. Now that was an answer that Katsuki did not expect, and actually was taken aback a bit. Now it was him who could not find the words, and Todoroki continued. I've been thinking. Either way, why is it the three of us? Then I started to remember your fight with Midoriya during field training. How we kept pushing each other in the festival. The three of us. Here I thought you were focusing on Deku there. I was. Todoroki nodded. And I still don't think that declaration of war was to the wrong person, as you put it. But it still made sure I had to pay attention to you, too. Which was actually one of the dead giveaways who you are. Even as Red, you cannot stand to stay out of the focus for long. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? You know exactly what that means. Whatever. What the shit were you trying to say about why it's us? Oh, right. I think the three of us are constantly bringing us different sides of ourselves. Pushing each other to go further and further, creating something unique. Your fight with Midoriya during field training was certainly one of a kind, out of all of our fights. Says the one who finished that exercise in a minute. Not the point. Point is how the two of us, running ahead, pushing Midoriya to come after us. Then the cavalry battle. And certainly everybody remembers your fight with Deku. Right. Point is, well, if we go back to the color theory, if the three of us are primary colors, the combination of us are creating something new. Additive colors, huh? Does that mean that if the three of us are together, that's what? That's white, right? What the fuck metaphor is that supposed to mean? I don't know. I'm still trying to make sense of it. There were few moments of stunned silence, when a suspicion crept up on Katsuki. You son of a bitch! You were just pulling my leg with this Frock's philosophy bullshit now. Partially. Maybe. I did mean most of it, though. I fucking hate you. So what? Blue and I talked about. We agreed that the three of us should try to kick each other's asses. We'd agreed on no such thing. No, but you were talking nonsense to piss me off, so you might as well could have been begging for me to kiss your ass. Try me. Oh, so you're actually going to try now. That's new. I think it might be fun, actually. Green. Like in a controlled circumstances, without quirks. Oh, come on. Where's the fun in that? Our quirks are capable of destroying a small town on their own, let alone if we let it all against each other. Unless we get a controlled, safe place to let it all out. I don't think we should use our quirks either. Fine. Still gonna kick your asses. Smiley face. Zip it with the smiley, Green. You're going down. Katsuki didn't like to think about what all this meant. What the three of them together meant. And what was there for them in their future. He definitely kicked their asses, though. Okay. So, I will say, I think, obviously the first one was in Izuku's perspective. The second one is in Bakugo's perspective, and I'm gonna take a educated guess that the third one's gonna be in Todoroki's perspective. If so, I had a lot of fun doing Bakugo's perspective. I try to change up the narration based on the point of view, right? When it's Izuku, I tend to do the narration a bit faster, a bit, more emphasis on certain pauses and stuff like that, thinking like, okay, this is all going in Izuku's head or something like that, especially if the narration is part of one's thinking. For example, Bakugo's narration, I always do it a bit rougher, a lot more anger put into it. Sometimes I do a natural, neutral kind of narration, or when the moment calls for it, a more tense narration. I always like to change it up. And my favorite narration so far to do is Bakugo's. I've always loved doing Bakugo's narration. It is so fun. It is hilarious. It is fun. I love it. It's fun. It's fun. It really is. As always, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Join our community Discord server, link is in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.